Hello, lovely Dylusionists. Come into the studio. Come on in, come on in. So part 2 of my nesting box series, we're going to do a baby wipe effect. A bit like this, okay? If you remember this set, I didn't do them all the same colour. I put a pink in between. I vary what I do. But I'm just going to show you this baby wipe technique on the top and bottom of a box. Okay, so I'm just going to pop them over there. So here is the box, and I decided beforehand I'm going to use blues. So this is what I've got out to use. Okay, these paints, I want a light, a medium and a dark. I don't really have a light blue at the moment, but so I'm going to use periwinkle blue as my light. I'm going to use balmy night as my medium, and then my dark I'm going to use just indigo, but I think I'm going to add a little bit of shimmer as well. So I've got just indigo in the shimmer as well there. I'm also going to add a little bit of stamping. So I'm going to use one of these little sets, fabulous for backgrounds. Get your rocks on. And my archival ink. So I don't have a periwinkle blue. I do have a balmy night. And oh, hang on. Do I have a just indigo as well? I'm just not sure if that's going to be too dark. So I've popped London blue and we'll see. Okay, so I'll put those to one side and we will see. So that's what I'm going to use. I've got one of the medium boxes here, and that's what I'm going to do. You need baby wipes. Okay, I always use Huggies. Always use Huggies. You cannot go wrong with a Huggies baby wipe, but up to you. But if you think you're using something and it's not working very well, it could be your baby wipe. Okay, so I'm going to start with the periwinkle blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop some on. Less is more. You can always add, but you can't take it off. So I'm just going to cover it with the periwinkle blue. I think these baby wipes are not very damp actually. I'm just going to let me go a bit further down the packet. I'm just going to blend it out. Okay. You still want to see little bits and odd, you know, you don't want it to be a solid colour. So, and then I'm going to do the bottom as well. Oh, I can't remember which is which actually. I better check that before I decide to write on there, haven't I? Yeah, I think my baby wipes are a bit dry. Never mind. I've not been in the studio for a couple of weeks because I've been away, and I might have left the baby wipe packet slightly open. Let me just pull these sleeves up. Sorry, I'm still having trouble with this hand. So, oh, missed a whole side there. Come on. There we go. Okay, so that's periwinkle all over. So the lighter colour goes all over. What I could have done, if I'd have wanted it even lighter, was I could have mixed periwinkle with white first, but I'm okay. I'm just going to roll these up a bit actually, because otherwise I'm going to get paint all over my shirt, aren't I? There we go. Okay, so there's the first coat that I've done there, and you saw how beautifully that it went on that surface. It really is a lovely surface, and this one's dry, this one is nearly dry. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the second colour, which I'm going to use balmy night. Okay, and what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to apply it just like I would do on the page to the middle of one side, okay, and then to the outer corners of the opposite side. So I always do the middle of one side, and then on the opposite side I do the two outer corners. So for this one I'm going to actually put some on the mat, and you don't want a lot for this. So I've got a clean baby wipe. I'm going to pick some paint up, I'm going to tap it off, okay, and then I'm just going to add it, can you see, to the middle and then I'm going to blend it with my fingers. Okay, I might just, when it's dry, you can always add a little bit more if you want it slightly darker. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the two opposite corners, pick up a bit, tap it off, blend it in with my fingers, soften it off, and then this corner. So I've got three areas of the darker. Okay, not neat, and I don't want like a circle end or anything. So if you look at it from above, the dark, I've got three areas, and then the light, I've got three areas, just like I do on a page. Okay, so I'm just going to get a cleaner bit, pick some up, tap it off, middle of one side, corners, and I would use a baby wipe on a page. If you've not seen my baby wipe technique before, if you're quite new to me, this is how I decorate a lot of pages. A background is called a background because it's in the background, and too many people spend too long on the background, forgetting that that's not the focal point. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stencil. Let's see what I've got in my stencil box. I have tons and tons of stencils. I'm just going to pick up. I've been doing a lot of doodling lately, so some of these are on the top. Let me think. What would I like? Oh, squares. I think I'll have squares. If I have squares, I'll then go for something. I could go with diamonds, but I usually go for like circles, or they're too big for what I want. These would work. Shall I do circles and squares? I might do that. So let's put those out and then I'll decide. Okay, so I'm going to start with the squares. I'm going to do the squares first, and I'm going to do those with the periwinkle blue. Whenever I do my stenciling, I only ever use the two colours that I've already used there. Okay, so I'm going to use in the stencils periwinkle blue and balmy nights. I've still got to add some of the darker colour on as well, but don't worry, I haven't forgotten. So I'm going to take the large, and again I'm going to do three areas, but not these same areas. Okay, as long as you do three areas makes a triangle, which is your brain's favourite. So I'm going to start over here. So I'm going to get the periwinkle blue. I'm going to get some of that out. Oh, that looks as though it needs a good shake, to be honest, because it's got, again, I've not been in my studio for a couple of weeks because I've not been able to work with my arm. So I haven't been using these products. Let's try it again. That's better. Right, so let's put a sponge. Oh. What's happening? There we go. Okay, so I'm going to start over here, and then I'm going to bend it around. Can you see? So there's one area. Then I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to go across there. Oh, what's occurring with my thing? Strange. And I'm going to bend the stencil over. The backing has come straight off that. How weird. Typical, isn't it? Typical when I'm blooming doing a video. There we go. And then, so I'm here, so I'm going to go up here. Let me turn it round. I'll come more in the centre here. So across there and down here. Okay, so you can see the 3 areas there. Then I'm going to do the same on here. I'm just going to have to get some more. Normally you wouldn't need as much paint, but because that fell to bits, I need a bit more. And normally you don't need to shake the paints either. It's only because they've been unused for a bit. Normally I'm using them constantly. So I'm going to start up here this time. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to bend it. I'm going to bend it round this way. Do some there, and I'm going to bend it over the back as well. Sorry, my useless left hand is not helping. Disclaimer, I'm making things look really difficult when in fact my hand is practically numb at the moment. I'm under investigations trying to work out what is wrong. So sorry if I'm making it look complicated. 1, 2, 3rd area I will put here and fold it over. Whoops. You see, it's my left hand. I'm so sorry. I can't grip anything. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to clean this stencil. I'm going to put it back in its packaging and away. And then, do you remember in part 1, I had this box? So what we're going to do is we're going to add circles on here. I also do it on to pages in my journals, dialogue pages, all sorts. I'll just clean off what I've got, because otherwise it would be a waste of paint. So I'm going to do this for every one of the blue that I use. And you never know what you're going to end up with at the end of this. Okay, so that's what it's looking like so far. At the end of the series, that will probably be covered. And then I'm just going to get rid of this paint. And then, because I don't want the stenciling too dark, I'm going to just use the same blending tool, but I'm going to get as much of this paint off as I can, which I did by doing it on the box. And then I'm going to use the same blending tool with Balmy Night, okay? Because I don't want it to be too dark. Remember, a background is a background because it's in the background. So I'm going to do circles, but I'm going to use the smaller version because I don't want them too big. Now we've done the 3 areas here. I always like to keep it in 3, so I'm going to slightly overlap each area. Okay, so go up here. Let's get that darker. So I'm going to add some circles there. I'm going to bend it over, add some circles there. Okay, I'm going to add some circles there, bend it over and bend it over. So there's a couple there as well. I'm treating it as a flat page, but it is going round corners. Okay, and then I'm going to come here. Okay, and then I'm going to do this one. Creating my 3 areas again. And only using the colours I've already used. Okay, this one's going to go on a corner. So it'll go around this way and it will go down this way as well. Okay, so you can see both of them. Subtle, less is more when you're stenciling. You can always add more, but you can't take it off. And remember, it's a background. Even though this background is going to be the main thing, I still like to, I don't want it too in your face. And then we're going to get rid of this stencil. And I'm going to do, oops, honestly this hand, don't worry if you overlap as well. The more you get done of this, the more you will overlap. As I go through the series, you'll see me adding more and more colours. And these don't have to be neat. Can you see? They don't have to be neat. We're just adding, okay? But it just uses up the paint. And as I say, if you don't want to do a box, I do it on journal pages all the time, and eventually I'll fill up a page ready to use. So anything you've got left, that'll do. Okay, so we've got 3 colours on there so far. Get rid of the paint. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the darker blue. But again, if you're not doing much else that day, there's no point having tons and tons of your blending tools out, okay? So I would just use the same one. So this time, because this is a lot darker, I'm going to use just indigo. And I only want a bit of this. Let me give this a shake, because I think this is a new one. There we go. Just indigo. I only want a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it along the bottom edges, so along here, and so can you see a little bit round here of this darker one. Oh. It's been killing me not being able to craft and stuff, but I've got to the point now where I'm like, I'm just using this hand, whether it's numb and useless or what, I'm using it. They'll come up with a solution soon. And then sort of down this edge here. Okay. Have I done everyone? Yeah. As I said, sometimes I'll do inside, but most of the time I leave the inside how it is. Quite loose. I don't want just a nice neat stripe. I want this to be quite loose there, same as up these. Okay, and then there probably won't be much on here, but we might as well get the dark blue. And you could be very monochrome, you could have all blues on here, you know, if you wanted, or you could stay with cools or warms. I generally mix everything up. Okay, I think that'll do. And then wipe this up. So I've used one, well actually I used 2 because it broke, but in theory I've just used one blending tool. So this is going to go to one side for another day. And then I have the 2 here. Okay, so ideally I would leave this to totally dry, but I think I'm going to be all right. So I'm going to go for a thinner pen. I normally use, a uni pin. The equivalent of that in America, I've got hairs everywhere, am I molting? The equivalent of that in America is like a micron pen, and when I'm doodling, oh, there we go, I do like a 0.4. These are pens that come in different size nibs. That's a 5. I draw all my stamps with a 5 and a 6, but I usually do my doodling with a 0.4. Okay, so actually before I doodle I need to stamp. Goodness me. So let's have a think. What am I going to put on? I've got circles, but I think I'll put spirals on as one of them. And let's put this. Okay, so let me get a block. And I think I'm going to do this in, this is Balmy Night. So these are my archival inks. And I don't really want to press too hard on. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to curve over the corner as well. Okay. And again, I usually do 3. I'll do maybe 3 areas of this. I'll go here and then I'll curve over the corner. And then I'm just going to go there. Okay, so I've done it in 3 areas. Then I'm going to do it here. And to go there. It's missing the middle, but it doesn't bother me. If you were bothered about that, just put your hand underneath the box. I can't because my hand is playing up. But if you just put your hand inside the box when you stamp, it'll be absolutely fine. And let's go here. But I quite like that random effect. Okay, then you can clean this. But when you have used a dark colour, that dark colour, the residue goes on your stamps. So I always use the archival ink cleaner. This is a Ranger product. And I use it when I've got dark colours, because next time I might use a pale mauve, you know, my pale lilac. So it just takes all of that ink off. Okay. And then the reason I chose Balmy Nights for this one is I'm actually going to do Just Indigo, which is my darker. So this is quite a thick outline, whereas this is thinner. So I'm going to do the darker one with the thinner outline. Okay, and again, same theory. So this is the Just Indigo paint. So the Balmy Night matched my paint, and the Just Indigo is going to match my paint. So I think I'm going to come here, whoops, and over the side. Here I'm just going to put it on the top with a tiny bit over the side, and then this one I'm just going to pop there. Okay, it's quite a moody looking box, isn't it? It's lovely. I love it. I love it, love it, love it already. If you notice, the centre is quite open. I do that on a journal page because that's more where you're likely to put things. And also I'm wanting to write on here. So you can see with both of those boxes that the centre is still quite open. Now, again, this is a dark archival. So I am going to, you can see how blue it still looks. Then you just dab this. You don't drag it across or anything like that. You just dab it, and then you can clean it up. There you go. And you see, look how much came off. You'd be amazed how much comes off on your stamp sets. So, and that stamp set, just remind you, was Get Your Rocks On, and I use it for all sorts. I use it in the rocks to do the deep embedding, but I use it for backgrounds all the time. Okay. So we can pop that away, and then I'm actually going to give this a bit of, normally I would put this one to one side and get on with something else or another one, but I I'm just going to give it a quick whiz over with the heat tool. When you're doing this, you're just wafting it, okay? Just waft. You don't want to heat it, you just want to add a little bit of heat to it to dry it, okay? So you waft. When you're doing your triple embossing, you hold it still, but when you're just doing this, you just waft this gun. I don't know why this gun is rattling. It's like, where have you been for 3 weeks, missus? All my equipment in here is just like, the studio is freezing. I've had to pop the radiator on. Can you imagine me, September, popping the radiator on? One, my hand can't get too cold, but also I haven't been in here for 3 weeks, and so it's had nothing. But there you go. So now it's the doodling that I was talking about. So I've got my number 4 pen, and what I'm going to doodle is the squares, just really badly. So wherever I've stenciled a square, okay, even sort of half stencils. I always stencil badly. You can be neater if you want. I just can never be bothered. Again, sorry, I might drop this with my useless little hand. Now, normally I do all of the stenciling. I outline all of it with the black, but I think I'm going to do the circles, the Balmy Night, with a white pen. You can use whatever you want. I only have a white Sharpie, Posca though. So yeah, cool. Let's do this one. And again, this is exactly what I would do on a page, on a journal page, if I was doing one. Let's do all the top first, and then let's go over the edge. Now let's do the sides. There we go. Okay, so white pen. I very rarely use gel pens, very, very rarely. And if I do, it's usually a grey, but they do rub off. So I'm going to use a white Posca if I can find one. There we go. Okay, so I shall do the tops first. Sorry, I'm laughing at my gammy hand and how badly I'm doing this. But I'm not bothered, as you can see. It is what it is. So I'm just wondering, I think I'm just going to put a white dot in those as well. Why not? Just follow the stamp, you know, pick out something from the stamp. If you are coming to one of my classes, my weekend classes at Ranger in November 2025, we're making boxes. We're making all these. So there we go. So there's the box. So now I just need to find out which is the lid. This is the lid. Wonderful. Okay. And I think I'm just going to write treasure on this. Yeah, I think treasure. So the way I go about writing something is write the word treasure and count the letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's got even letters. So the center of the box ish, like here, that's where it would go. So I'm going to write the S this side, the U, the R and the E, and then I'm going to work backwards and I'm going to put an A, an E, an R and a T. Okay, so it should be central-ish. And then I'm going to go in with a black Posca and I'm going to outline that. Can you see that? Yeah, and then I'm going to, oh gosh, and then I'm going to outline it. Normally I would pick this up and I can't, my hand's impeding me. I'm just grateful it's not my right hand, because that is the one. If it was my right hand, I'd be in bother. Just making sure this T wants to come down further. There we go. You could draw a line, you could, you know, whatever you want. Now before I do the E, just let's check, yeah. Okay, then I'm going to rub that out, rub all the pencil marks out. Just rub gently, you don't want to rub any paint off. You just want those pencil lines to dissipate. Also, when you were drawing with your pencil, just go quite steady, because if you press really hard, you're going to make a groove in there, okay? And then I'm going to go with a slightly thicker pen. Oh, that's probably too thick. That's a 5. Have I got a 3? Let me have a look. Have I got a 3? Oh, I know where I'll have a 3. Just 1 minute, sorry. In my bag of 3s. I have a bag of 5s and I have a bag of 3s. There we go. When I say 3, I'm referring to the nib point. Okay. So, and this is a paint pen. And you could do this with paint and a brush, or you could use a pen like I am. You could use stickers. You could leave a space where you could write what's in the box, but I'm always changing what's in the boxes, so if you want to learn to write like me, I do have a class somewhere. There is a class called Diane's Alphabet, which takes you through this, how to write like this. I'm going to turn the box the other way because it's always better to write with your hand on something. So I'm just going to turn it upside down to make it easier. Okay, I think I'm just going to go over it again because it's not very black. It's probably because I haven't let the paint dry fully. So I'm just going to put an extra coat on the tin and see what it looks like. That's better, it is darker. Sometimes it doesn't make a difference, but it would have bugged me if I didn't. Just going to unplug that. There we go. Where was I? I was here, wasn't I? Yeah, it's much better for the second coat. It probably wouldn't have bothered you, but it does bother me, so. There we go. Okay. And then I am going to outline that. So you could use white, but I think I'm going to use a blue. So do I want that blue or... Oh, they're the same. I'm sure I've got a different colour blue somewhere. Oh, no, turquoise. Yeah, no, I'll go with that blue. So I am just going to outline. So this is a 1MR Posca, which is a 0.7 nib. There we go. Okay, and I think I'm going to write bottom on the bottom. Just in one corner actually, and I'm going to use, I know I'm going to do it in the middle, but I'm going to use a fat pen. This is a 7, so it'll just take a little while to dry, and then I'm going to add a line of the blue. Let me take that out so we can see that while we're just waiting for this to, oh, I could waft it. Let's give it a waft. Ah, wrong hand. There you go. Always unplug your heat tool afterwards. Just sometimes when I'm putting things back together, I put it in the wrong one, and then when I come to make the box it doesn't work. So there we go, there's the top. Treasure. Normally I would probably do some doodling right around here, but I can't hold the box very well at the moment, but normally I would do like a running stitch or something. And there's the bottom. Okay, so bottom, treasure, there we go, part 2. I will see you in part 3.